The premise of what I'm going to talk about today is that you have two experiences of survival. One is pure physical survival, and one is emotional survival. The emotional survival is married with physical survival. So what we're doing here is using this construct of a human standing on Earth, a body of resource, which is about physical survival, and the body of story, which is about your personalized experience of the world. Physical survival, your body of resource, is an evolutionary river that you tap into, and you do that through your present moment body and your present moment awareness and your present moment attention. Emotional survival is about your lifelong story. It's what you know, it's what shapes you, and it's purposeful. So if you can keep crafting and shaping it with your one foot in the river of evolutionary resource, then you can find that using this container, body of resource, body of story, might just be a lot easier than you imagine. I used to say it's like developing the skills to surf the waves. You can feel the power of the waves. You don't create the waves, you just surf it and ride it. But what I've seen is when you go too deep, too fast, even if it's into a resourceful place, it can feel like a tsunami. And so I've changed that analogy to what we're doing is we're looking to attune to the waveforms. And the waveforms might be big and long across time, and you may just feel like you're in a trough for a while, or you may feel the speed of the drop from peak of activation to resolution, and it might happen very quickly. But you start to develop this trust. You start to be able to feel activation, resolution. You feel and you're in a trough and you know you're in a trough, but you know what activation feels like and you actually know how to find it quicker instead of just letting it happen. That you start to become part of this waveform process. And it starts with a human standing on Earth. So let's go into the first exercise. If you come to standing, what we're working with are the phenomenal forces that play upon your body. And in particular, we're just working with three: gravity, light, and sound. We're going to work with all three in this moment. Your feet are going to be 3 or 4 inches apart underneath your pelvis. If this is an uncomfortable position for you, you could have your feet wider. But if you can, have your feet underneath the width of your pelvis so that your feet are supporting you from underneath. From this position, imagine that you're holding your shins. You're going to push your shins forward as if they're levers. And as you push your shins forward, keep looking off into the horizon. So you're going to do that a little bit. If this starts to hurt your knees, if you have knee issues, please take your feet a little bit wider and push your shins that way. Just no knee pain, please. And as you go down like this, imagine that there's a seat behind you and you're going to take a seat. So all three at once. Take your shins, push them forward like a lever. Take your seat behind you, look off into the horizon. So far off into the horizon, imagine that there are clouds there, that your eyes are connecting to that. Now you're going to make that movement even smaller. Continue to reduce the movement so that it becomes an internal thing. As you make it smaller and smaller, let it be internal so someone watching you can't see it. And then until you settle into a stillness, but a stillness that maybe breathes a little, that has a little forward and back, that has a little inhale and exhale, that has not a bracing, but a little play. And then close your eyes. So we take the lights perception out of this equation. And when you close your eyes, you will start to feel yourself swaying because you're not using your visual system anymore. But still feel yourself balance over the arches of your feet. Your body will start to recalibrate and settle in. If this feels scary or dizzy or whatever for you, please stand up against the wall. So as you're standing here with your eyes closed, imagine with your eyes closed that your eyes are lifted and separate, looking off into the wide horizon. So they're not looking narrow and straight ahead, they're open and wide. And then keeping the weight in the arches of your feet, let your eyeballs drift. Imagine there's a flock of birds in the distance. You're going to let them drift off to the right a little bit as you follow, and just pause. Just a small little distance, tracking off to the right, and then come back to center, and then watch another set of birds fly to the left. Really small, and stop. So you're not destabilizing yourself too much. You're just noticing that you can move your eyes and still maintain the connection to the arches of your feet. Notice how you respond, how you grip. You could try that one more time. Slow, connected to something beyond yourself with the tracking of your eyes, eyeballs only, and small enough that it is movement within you and not displacing your body. You're anchored through this position into the gravitational force right through the center of your body. And then let your eyes come to the center and look off in the horizon. They're still closed. And as you listen to me, start to see if you can feel the vibration of my voice from the front of your chest. Can you feel it? And listen as if your sternum is an amplifier and you're feeling the vibration of my voice landing in you. All right. Let your eyes open and you can walk around a little bit. You'll use this human body of resource, this human intelligence, and what you'll start to feel is presence. You'll feel an expansion within yourself. You'll feel an expansion within the moment. You'll feel an inclusion of past and future so that you don't have to go somewhere else to be in the past and the future. We have the skill of going to different places all the time and leaving our body, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't say that you don't need to do that, but if you have this skill of expanding presence, it's much easier to come back home to this body again and again, and to reach and explore further than you could imagine from an anchored, centered system. Because if you are constantly leaving your center, you have to find your way back. The work to find your way back is exhausting, and it can feel like a lot of white noise, and it can take up an enormous amount of energy. The core viscera is from your jaw down to your pelvis. And when we are eating and feeding ourselves, we use our jaw a certain way. When we are expressing ourselves, however, the jaw gets used a different way. This is not a do reps type of thing. At the level of a high performance, like a professional musician or a professional dancer or a professional athlete, they're not looking to learn the mechanics of what they do. They know it already. They're looking to pay attention to really small differentials so that they can increase their skill level. And that's what you're learning here. You know how to walk. You know how to stand. So we got that off the table. You don't have to do reps to learn that. You have to be a high performance skilled person. So you're looking for the differentials. And when you learn to pay attention to the right things, then you can really grow quickly with this, because the way we learn our body of story is through differentiation. And that happens in utero. Even before you get to this shape, there's a midline that forms, and that starts to bring us into more of a human shape from just a bunch of cells. And those cells start to differentiate when that midline forms. We don't have a body of resource on its own. A body of resource is discovered, it's uncovered. You're peeling away that co-evolution of your body of resource and body of story. They happen together. So we have the standing on earth, which is body of resource, the body halves and differentiation, and then finding that weight transfer, moving forward. That's body of story. That's how you find your story. You're moving forward. You're resolving things. You're moving towards what you want. You're finding out experiences, call and response with the world. Because what we're trying to do all the time is make sense to ourselves. Dr. Ellen Langer is a psychologist. She's been doing a lot of mind-body research since the 70s. She has some great experiments, but the whole point is you're making sense to yourself. You're using the sensory information that comes up through your body to create a narrative that fits you. In this context of standing and walking, this starts when you're in tummy time. There's a bonding process that happens, but really the whole idea of moving forward happens when you're in tummy time. You get frustrated, you learn to meet your frustration, you learn to get out of that, you learn to navigate the weight of your head from your sacrum, you learn that connection, you're experimenting the whole time, you're learning to start to look through the environment, reach for what you're interested in, weight shift, lean on one side, and feel what that feels like to lean on one side. You learn to explore things and understand through your mouth. We're taking in because we don't have words yet, but you use that mouth differently when you express out. And you express out as a baby with nonsense and with just tone, but when you refine that and bring in words and express it in a way that is aligned with this making sense of yourself, and you do it in a way that is connected from way deep down in here, not just in here, but from way deep down in here. That's your visceral core. That's the body of story. Let's go into the second exercise. I'm going to have you narrate out loud. So what it looks like is this. You're going to start to straighten up your place and you're going to narrate what you're doing. So I'm going to say, I'm moving this glass of water here closer to the computer, and I'm going to clear up this stack. I'm clearing up this stack of papers. You're just going to say exactly what you're doing. So do that for a minute and notice, pay attention to what's happening as you do that. Okay, come back. I'm going to have you do another iteration of that. Go around your room and do it again, and you could do it with different things, of course, but you're going to add the word because, and then let that narration go on. So I'm going to bring this glass over here because I don't want it to accidentally spill. Did you have a comment?
Yeah, I find with this exercise, which I have been integrating into my life a lot over the past couple months, probably, I have wicked ADD, and it makes it much easier for me to complete tasks, to not get distracted by walking into one room and then starting something else and then starting something else. And also, I notice where I put things. So I spend much less time looking for.
That's really good. You know, I started to do this because I would see people, let's say someone go quickly through an exercise. Okay, done, did it. And then I'd have them slow down and actually do it. And then I'd have them pay attention to the different details and actually say it. And that just brought them to the center. So if you do tend to jump around in your mental space, this is a great tool. If you're a procrastinator or if you're resistant to doing a project that it's just emotionally not inviting, let's say cleaning my office or filing paperwork, when you start to say it out loud and you start to talk about why you're doing it, you're accompanying yourself with a voice. It's the same way you would help a child do something. You're explaining the reason for it. You're making sense to yourself. And when you make sense to yourself, you tend to follow through.